All right, welcome to Self-Tape Rewind. Rebecca MADER, the lovely, wonderful actress from your favorite shows like Lost and Once Upon a Time and Devil Wears Prada. Rebecca, it is a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for being here. It is, yes.
Can you believe it? I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Your journey, and let's kill some of this intro music here. All right. Your journey in the entertainment industry has been fascinating. So, can you take us back to maybe some of your earliest auditions that didn't quite go as planned and like what you learned from those experiences?
You know, I really, really regret not documenting my auditioning life because that's a TV show in and of itself. And there's just been so many hideous experiences in my life. They've all sort of blended together as one thing, like, God, it was really rough there for a while, as opposed to specific memories. And I mean, I could put together a coffee table book. If I had actually written them all down, there would be an amazing, funny book of all the hideous experiences. But one in particular that comes to mind, you know, especially like in pilot season, when they make all the new shows in the beginning of the year, sometimes they'll give you auditions like the day before, and it's 11 pages, which is completely hideous. And this was one of those instances. And I went to Sony, and there was 4 scenes and all this dialogue, and I get there and they do the classic thing of like, we're just going to do 2 scenes or 1 scene. Anyway, I walk into the room and there had to be like 30, 40 executives in the room, and I'd say about 90% of them were on their phone and just not paying any attention. I walked in and nobody said hello. I'm like, oh, this is nice. And then people's phones were going off during the audition, and I just would stop my performance and go, do you need to get there? And then, oh, shall I make a call? I mean, the whole thing, it was an absolute disaster. And I think that's been like a thing of mine that, you know, when you put in so much work and effort as an actor and then you get there and people aren't even paying attention, that's really, really hard. Because as an actor, you've got so much going on, things you're trying to block out. To then have that on top of it is really stressful, which is one of the reasons why I've always enjoyed coming to the Self-Tape with you specifically, because it's 2 people playing and acting and doing it together, and I'm not trying to block out 5 executives in my eye line, rolling calls and checking their email, which is essentially going to ruin my performance and ruin my vibe.
Yeah.
So those are the things that specifically have stuck out to me that I do not miss in terms of how things have changed post-COVID and having to do self-tapes now.
I love that. As aspiring actors, you know, they often look up to successful performers like yourself. What would be a daily practice or a mindset that kept you grounded throughout your career?
I would say just keeping my eye on the prize, because it's so much of what we do as an artist, and all of us that are in this industry that are trying to make it, whether it's TV or music or whatever, it's all about your mental state, isn't it? And how you get through the day on the days where you don't have auditions and you're not working, or there's a pandemic or a strike or something, and you're like, am I even an actor anymore? Like, who even am I? So for me, so much of it is mental and how I'm doing mentally, you know? So it's really more of just kind of, how am I going to have a great day today as an actor, even though I don't have a job or an audition? So then how am I preparing? How am I going to still feel alive? And I would try and like spend time with other creative people, journal about maybe a show I'd like to produce, and even just start thinking about what I want to manifest and what I want my next job to be. And I've always been really interested in metaphysics and manifestation and law of attraction and things like that. So that's something I would do. And it even worked for me this year in 2023, after taking a very long break because of the pandemic and, you know, pushing out 2 small children. I was like, okay, well then I'm ready to go back to work. What does that look like? And so in the beginning of January, I started doing this thing called the Artist's Way, which I hashtag recommend. It's 40 days. Didn't finish it. I'm going to admit it. I'm going to be real. Did not finish it, and I'm going to start again in September, because it worked. So it was day 1, January 1st, and I was thinking about all the things I want to work on in life. But when it came to the career section, I'm like, okay, I'm not ready to just be the lead of a show. I've been out of the business for a minute, but I'd like to do a recurring role. I'd like it to be, this is how specific I was, I want it to be an offer rather than having to self-tape for it, because I've been doing this for 23 years. I'd like it to shoot in Vancouver, because I did Once Upon a Time for 5.5 years in Vancouver. And I want it to be a network show, and I want it to be a pre-existing hit. So it's incredibly specific, but I find that when I'm looking to manifest my next role, I like to get really specific, because it tends to work. If I just think, oh my God, I just want to be on set, you guys, that nothing really happens. And I got super specific. And I was journaling every morning at 5:30 in the morning because my baby wakes up at 6. And for half an hour, like every day in Vancouver, offer only, network, da-da-da. On day 37, I was walking into a workout in the valley and I get a WhatsApp from my agent saying, do you think you could pull off going to Vancouver tomorrow to do an arc on Fire Country on CBS? And I was in front of a shop window, the workout place, and I just went like Eddie Murphy into the camera, like, say what? Goosebumps, and I did.
That's amazing.
So for me, so much of acting, even when you're not working, is just mental.
Yeah,
and
manifestation.
Your mindset, your state of mind.
I love that. Well, speaking of Milo and Bailey, how's been getting back into the industry as a mom? Like, how has that changed your approach to acting, to how much time you give? And as a father of a 1-year-old myself, and you know Athena very well, I have no time. I'm batshit crazy.
Goodbye, life. I knew the world. It's fucking insane. Like, how can you be different people and wear different hats and be present and amazing at all of them? It's so hard. Like, something has to give. So I've done, childcare, and then you feel guilty that you're not with them 24/7, and then I've tried being with them 24/7, and I'm like, I'm having anxiety and depression, I'm never going to act again. So it's like trying to find balance where you're with them a lot but not all the time. And people would say to me in the beginning, when you have a baby, like, did you get my email? And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Does this look like the face of a person that got an email? Where's my phone, girl? Like, it's probably with the dinosaurs under the bed. Like, but it's also the beginning. Like, when you have a kid, the beginning is insane. So it was really, really hard. And in a way, I feel like, as hideous as the pandemic was, it almost did me a little bit of a favor because nobody was really working. I did get to spend more time with my babies, and it is what it was what it was. So it's like I wasn't the only person not working for a minute. So in a way, I was like forced to sit down and be present and be a mum. And then as my kids are getting a little bit older and it's easier to leave them a little bit, that's kind of as we're coming out of the pandemic. And even my team and my agents and managers during the pandemic, like, you couldn't have picked a better time to have a couple of kids, Mater. Great timing. I'm like, thanks.
You've portrayed a lot of characters, like I said, Lost and Wicked Witch. And how have your self-tapes, are there any self-tapes that you remember specifically that pushed you out of your comfort zone? And how did you approach those?
Oh my God, there was one. I came to see you years ago, and it was here. It was a long, long time ago, and it was like a 5-page monologue, and I'm like, Jason, this ain't gonna happen. I don't even know what to do. I got it really last minute, and you just looked at me because you're the super tech king. When I think I can solve it. And you put your iPad in and did the thingy-majig, and all of a sudden I'm like a newscaster, and I'm like, and my eyeline is in the camera, and I'm like, oh my God, you're a genius. And I was, because at the time this was pre-COVID, so people weren't self-taping as much.
Sure, yeah.
And I think it was because they were casting out of New York. They weren't doing castings in LA, so I did it with you. Anyway, I waffle on, I'm looking straight into the lens, boom, word perfect. And I lied, and I didn't tell anybody the truth. And my team were like, oh my God. And I'm like, I know.
Right.
I know. They're like, how did you do that? I'm like, I'm Rebecca Mader. I don't know what to tell you. And they totally cheated and just read down the... I was so pleased with myself.
Awesome.
Because I was out of my comfort zone, because I'm like, I'm not going to know all this. And you just went... Problem solved.
Yeah, I've got a giant. Well, at the new studio, we have that giant 85-inch teleprompter. That's just like, but now it's not direct into camera. It's slightly off camera, so nobody can tell. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Everybody's cheating.
Everybody.
We're
cheats.
all doing it.
All right. Well, let's talk about Once Upon a Time, because I got a great question here. Your classic over-the-top villain. How many unsuspecting imaginary heroes fell victim to your evil laughter?
Mostly the crew. It's funny because I've got such an annoying laugh, and people would always say to me, oh my God, that's hilarious. Like, you're doing the laugh. I'm like, no, it's actually my laugh. I'm not doing the wicked. I'm like, and it's just my ridiculous laugh. Like, what are the odds that they would cast someone that has the ridiculous cackle in real life? But I'd probably say everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, let's get some funny questions in here. If you You have a pet, right?
A pet?
Yeah. Do you have a cat?
Just a husband.
Oh, you got a husband.
I did have a dog, but she passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. Well, let's go back to when your dog was around. If your pet could write a review of your acting, what would be their brutally honest critique?
Why didn't you take me on set? No. I don't know. I mean, when I used to take my dog Bella to work with me every day on Once Upon a Time, because it's now impossible to take your dog to work day in LA. And there's a rumor going around that Jennifer Garner's dog bit someone in Paramount, and then Paramount got sued. So then after that, all the LA studios were like, no dogs allowed. And I didn't know that. And I was shooting this show called No Ordinary Family on ABC with Michael Chiklis back in 2011. And I had my Shih Tzu with me. And then on my way to work, someone said, you can't bring a dog. I'm like, what? I haven't got anyone to watch her. My call time's at 5. So I hid her under a blanket, got in. And then someone told on me and grassed me up.
Oh, my God.
And I'm on set like, the dog's got to go. I'm like, what? And someone had told Transpo, and Transpo was like, get the Shih Tzu out.
No way.
So I had to like call my friend that to leave work to come and get the dog to come and get out. But when I was in Vancouver, in Canada, it's totally different.
Yeah.
So she was just always in my trailer, and she bit a costume designer once because he was trying to take the Wicked Witch costume, and they're pulling it, and she's on it. And I'm like, and he's like, and I said, be careful, I don't touch the dog. And this guy, and he's like, no. And she's like, and like he had like bite marks. But Canadians are like Brits, we don't sue.
Yeah.
So we were fine, but I would come back from a scene and I'd be in green makeup, and she was used to seeing me green, and how was I? And she always told me I nailed it. Oh. So I don't know that she really had any critiques other than nailed it, Mum.
Yeah, I remember I used to take Emma. Do you remember Emma, the little Maltese that I had?
Oh,
she used to always be at the studio here, but when I was at Fox, we always used to bring her on set and like into the casting room. Everybody loved it. It was, and then that same
She
shit.
was
I remember
cutie.
the Paramount stuff. Yeah. Rejection's part of the industry. How do you handle the emotional aspect, especially when you put so much effort into what you do?
I'm fine. Bitter, a party of one. I've been doing this for 23 years. You think I've been working on that? Like, how do I not take rejection personally for 23 years?
Yeah.
How has it not like broken me and crushed my spirit and hurt my heart or made me resent the business or just sour it? That's another part of what I was talking to before about the whole mental state. So much of what we do is trying to keep your mind right.
Sure.
So when you don't get something, you're like, okay, this really hurts. This is something I really wanted. This is painful. How do I not take this personally? How do I dust myself off, get back up, hit the gym, call a friend, and just keep on trucking and surrender it and just give it back to the universe and trust that it wasn't meant for me. And there's that famous saying that I use a lot in my head. When I don't get something I really wanted, I just say, whatever's meant for me won't pass me by. Because obviously with the gift of hindsight, you look at what you do get and what you don't get and did and didn't. And I look at something like Lost, for example, which completely changed my career. But the trajectory of that is really funny because my first series regular role was on a Jerry Bruckheimer show called Justice on Fox back in the Dizzle in 2006. And I booked it out of New York. I didn't live in LA yet. I was still modeling part-time, which I despised. And I did a self-tape, and it was so bad. Not a self-tape. I went to Warner Brothers in Manhattan, and I felt so disconnected from the material, the casting director, and there was just like a weird vibe in the room. And I was to play a lawyer, an American defense attorney. So I was basically speaking Portuguese, and what the bloody hell I was talking about, in an American accent, talking about American law. And I was pitting, and I was nervous. I was not connected to the material at all. I stunk up the room. And I walked out into reception, and I got my sides, and I ripped them in half in reception, threw them in the bin, and I said out loud, well, that's a great way to start 2006. And I booked it. What? And then I came out to LA, and I did it. Hey, what was the question?
How do you handle the rejection?
Right. So then we shoot 13, and then we didn't get our back 9. I'm devastated. I'd moved to LA. I'd broken up with my ex-husband, got no friends in LA. I was like, and that's how I got my dog. I went to Malibu. I was really depressed. Show's over. I've got no friends in LA. I lost all my possessions and my old dog in my divorce. Anyway, I get Bella, and God, it wasn't long after, all of a sudden, I had an audition for Lost, and I was like, I knew I should have watched it. Everyone kept saying to me, how do you not watch Lost? How are you a human being that's living in the world that doesn't watch Lost? And I'm like, oh, I tried, but I saw a polar bear in the jungle, and what's that about? That's ridiculous. I wasn't really into sci-fi. Anyway, I get the audition, I start watching it, and I book the job, and then I found out that the reason Justice, the show that I thought was my big break, and was devastated that it didn't get its back line and got cancelled, the reason Justice got cancelled was because it was being killed in the ratings by this new show called Lost.
Wow. Wow.
And then 4 months later, I'm in the jungle on the show that killed the other show.
Huh.
So even though I was so gutted and devastated and heartbroken by this one opportunity ending, it had to bring in the next.
Yeah.
So I always try to remember those parts of my journey when I do get really gutted by things that don't go my way. I'm like, hang on a minute. I don't have the gift of looking above and seeing the timeline because it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
I have to just trust that things will and are continuing to unfold in my favor.
Yeah.
You know?
That's so interesting. I think back to like my first job was at a video store. I was like a video store clerk in like my own hometown. And I remember back then you'd get like the VHSs, they'd come in and like the VCR like scrambled up the tape, and I'd have to like unscrew it and then cut the tape and like patch it all back together. And then I look back now, having been an editor for 25 years, I was reel-to-reel editing at 15 years old. Like, it's just crazy, like that whole like bird's eye perspective of the timeline. Yeah, it's really interesting. Let's shift a little bit from questions and let's watch.
Oh God!
You're gonna love this. You're gonna love this. I cut this last night. And I sat there with Leah, who, for you guys watching, Leah is my wife, and Rebecca and Leah are very good friends. They text all the time and hang out. But she was pissing her pants.
My performance is that bad.
Well, this is what I call slating 101 with Rebecca Mader.
Oh God.
I don't even know what they want in this slate.
It's always name her location.
Right.
So. Oh, that's nice.
That was nice. Oh my God, I'm scared.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Mader. I'm 5'7" and I live in Los Angeles.
Little hip.
Like, who says Los Angeles like that? Oh my God.
Right?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Mader and I'm 5'7". I currently live in LA and I'm still carrying a little bit of holiday weight, but the person inside of me is going to be evicted shortly and I'm going to be skinny and gorgeous in time for the film.
I really like that one. We died laughing. I remember that. Oh, hello.
I'm Rebecca Mader. I'm 5'7". I live in LA and I'm fully vaxxed.
Fully vaxxed.
This is...
Oh shit. What's wrong with my groin?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Mader. I'm 5'7" and I live in Los Angeles.
What's happening?
And some laxatives. And a starvation diet.
My favorite part. Switch.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Mader and I'm reading from the
It is so stupid.
This is my favorite. This is
So
my
many.
favorite.
Wait, are you ready? I was thinking about the rest of my day. Wait. Okay. I'm such an actor. I'm like, oh, and then someone goes accent, I just stand there.
And then switch.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Mader. I'm 5'7" and I live in Los Angeles.
Oh my God.
And
What
that
is
is
wrong?
Slating 101 with Rebecca Mader.
I think we should rename it "What Not to Do"
No, it's
by
beautiful.
Rebecca Mader.
Kills me. It's so funny.
Oh my God, slating is so weird.
Isn't it? And it's always the same question.
Hi, I'm Rebecca Mader.
Yeah.
Oh my, what?
There's they always write like 3 paragraphs in the breakdowns, and then all they ever want is name, height, location.
Yeah.
But they have to write it in like a billion different
paragraph.
ways.
Cliff notes. Just give me. What do you need?
Yeah.
What do you want me to say at the end?
Yep, exactly.
Or I just want to get a T-shirt that just says "Google me." Been doing this for 23 years. Thanks.
Yeah, I was like, you should know who I am. Come on.
Hello.
Do you watch TV?
Oh my God, boomer.
Check this out. This is
Oh God.
you're gonna like this. So there's this new I've been working, I've got terabytes and terabytes of self-tapes. I've been taping for 15 years now.
I can't believe you still got all this.
I have every tape I've ever shot. 15 years. I have 12 terabytes worth of self-tapes.
I can't believe you've saved it.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
And I always had this idea to do this show called Head and Tail. Like all the stuff that actors do before their take and right after their take.
That's where the magic is.
Right? Because that's the best part. Like I love when you come in and we just... I always know that I'm going to fucking piss my pants laughing when Rebecca comes in.
Yeah, Rebecca's coming in.
Yeah, I always know.
I think it depends on.
My favorite, and I think about this whenever I see you book, I always hear, in your voice, Rebecca MADER, what a cunt.
It's a classic.
It's a classic. It's my favorite line.
One of my best.
But, so I've been taking some self-tapes and playing around with them, and I think you're going to really find this interesting. Check this out.
Are you folks ready to order, or do you need another minute?
We're not ordering.
Oh, well, you sort of have to.
Oh, so wait, little bee. Okay,
Isn't
now,
this wild?
where were we? Oh, right. You were telling me what a massive disappointment you both are.
Oh, screw you, lady. My sister's been over every inch of that dump 100 times. If there was something to be found, she'd find it. Now pay up.
I'm sorry?
You said 200. We had a deal.
Yeah, that you would find me hard proof of criminal endangerment. Something actionable. All you've done is tell me that my niece is a good kid and that my nephew sleeps all the time.
Yeah, well, he really does, though.
Sleeping is not a crime, dude.
Isn't it wild? Like, I could take your performance
Oh my god.
and straight up turn it into like a Pixar style.
Am I just out of a job now? Like permanently?
I think a lot of
Are we all
actors
screwed?
are afraid of this. This is something that a lot of people are afraid of. They're afraid of like being replaced by AI. But I actually don't think that's going to be the case. I think it's going to be an opportunity for actors to be able to work on multiple projects without ever leaving their living room. Like, think about that. You could work on 4 different projects. Your digital avatar can turn around and literally be shooting Lost, in 5 years when they redo Lost, which that's coming.
Inevitable, yeah.
You can pop in and be on the show and never leave literally never leave. And I mean, this is I didn't want to touch on the strike, but this is kind of what the strike is all about. Is like, and I think SAG absolutely should be fighting for your rights to get paid for using how to regulate it. Yeah. But I think being afraid of the technology is
pointless. It's
pointless.
It's happening anyway. The
Exactly.
train already left the station.
Yeah.
It's like saying, the internet was invented like, keep away from it. Like we're at the exact same precipice of right before the internet exploded.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like pre and post AI, pre and post internet.
100%. And if you think about it, like you'll be able to, like your family will be able to, they take your 3D scan and they can turn around and like even after you die, you could still be shooting projects.
Oh my god!
And your family and you can be providing for your family for years in perpetuity forever.
Oh my god!
And with where technology is going, I think me personally, and I don't know if this is going to be the case or not, but one of the things that I like about where the industry is going is that it'll be more of an interactive experience. Like 15 years ago, nobody knew that Netflix was going to be Netflix or that everything was going to be on your phone or, you don't watch cable anymore. Nobody watches cable, Maybe you watch the news or you watch sports or, but most people are watching Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, all the different, now you got like 20 different subscriptions. But what's interesting is I think you're going to be able to star as the viewer opposite your favorite actors in shows coming soon. I think that's where the industry's going. If I just had to exponentially be interactive. I find that so fascinating and so cool. And to be able to take like a performance and turn it into an animation like that, that's just, and I would love to take credit for it. That's a software called Wonder Dynamics. It's Steven Spielberg's new company. Okay. But really, really cool, like, I don't know, I just think that's fun. I love tech, I love all that stuff. And, but yeah, so
it's a whole new world coming, babe.
It is.
It is.
You can't be a Luddite. You gotta move. You gotta stay ahead of the curve. And you can't be afraid of embracing it because AI is not going to replace you. Somebody programming AI will. So
Right.
be the person who programs yourself. Like, take control of it. That's just my personal opinion. But let's see. If your life was a movie, what genre would it be? And
Horror.
who would play your quirky sidekick?
Freddy Krueger.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
I'll be the beauty and he'll be the brains.
Oh,
Really
I-
cut the top of someone's head off. I used to love watching horror movies growing up. I don't watch them as much anymore because my husband's afraid.
Oh, Mark.
What genre would it be? A rom-com?
Yeah. Did you hear that? Robert England.
Yeah.
England.
Yeah.
Just said he wants Kevin Bacon to take over Freddy. How awesome of a perfect
perfect.
casting is that,
Perfect.
right? I really hope that happens.
So do I. I need to be in that.
Right? They say the best actors can cry on cue. I'm not going to make you do that. but can you also laugh on cue, which I know that you can. Let's give your best fake laugh for the camera.
This one, right?
Anyone you want.
This one.
Amazing.
Thank you. I've been rehearsing since 5 a.m.
I love it. Let's see. What advice would you give young actors who might be struggling with self-doubt and imposter syndrome in such a competitive industry?
I still have self-doubt and imposter syndrome.
We all do.
You know, so let's just table that. If you feel it coming in, just say, what's the point? I mean, even, who was it? Helen Mirren said that even before she goes on stage, she throws up. I mean, she's a queen.
Yeah.
So I think just remembering that everybody gets nervous and everybody feels like a fraud, no matter how successful, let's just don't even bother. Because if someone like Helen Mirren is throwing up before a performance, you're fine getting nervous for a self-tape or thinking, oh, am I even an actor? Or you're an actor if you decide to be an actor. It doesn't matter if you've worked professionally or not. If you've decided that you feel like an artist and you want to be an actor, you're an actor.
Yep.
And just don't listen. I call them naysayers. All the people like, are you? What have you done? What have you been in?
Yeah.
Ba-da-ba-ba. Get those people out of your life. Don't be around anyone negative. Just only be around people that believe in you and believe for you and want your dreams to come true regardless of what they are. That's been a lot of my journey, I think, is just cutting out people that legitimately don't want the best for me. And I only want to be around people that I'm excited for them. And if a friend, one of my actor friends gets a job, I feel it in my body. A friend of mine got a movie of the week yesterday in Canada because they're not striking. And when she told me, my knees went funny and I got goosebumps in my shins. And she's still trying to talk to me about, I'm like, babe, my legs have gone funny for you. But I legitimately get happy for other people. So just surround yourself with other people whose legs are going to get goosebumps when you do get a commercial, when you do book your first job.
Yeah.
Life is so short. Just keep the negativity out of your own head and around your own space and just keep on going. Because if it feels right, then you should be doing it.
Yeah.
And don't ever give up, because there are going to be times that are going to be shit and you're not going to have money and you're going to be bugging out. But if it feels like it's your journey, then you cannot quit.
Absolutely. That's one of my favorite things about having the studio is that, once, twice, maybe 3 times a week, I'm getting emails of, oh my God, thank you so much. I booked the role and this is my first big break. And it's just so fun to watch actors, especially having been doing it for 15 years now, to watch some actors in I'm not going to drop names, but some really big actors. I shot their first auditions when they first got into town, and now they're
cool.
making $100 million films, and it's just amazing to watch that. And my favorite is always working with my 3. These were my 3 kids that I watched grow up. I got a Maya Miller, Storm Reed, and Sloane Siegel, and it really is the
It's
best
nice to be
part
part of their journey.
Yeah, and it's just to always and I say this to all the readers that work at the studio. I always say, it's not about. It's our privilege to help these people, and we want every single person who comes in to book the role. It does no good to have bad tape leaving the studio, and I've had some readers who they try to book the role from behind the camera.
Girl, that has happened to me so many times. You want to talk about back in the day with bad auditions and stuff. At least I know this is a controlled environment.
Yep.
I know you're going to be great, and I know if you're not there, whoever else is here is going to be great. I feel safe. I know what I'm walking into. I know that I'm going to be given a performance, but I also know that the person behind the camera isn't going to be trying to like outshine me.
Yeah.
And that has legitimately happened to me before, where whoever was like working for the casting director is also trying to
Impress the casting
like,
director.
I can't believe you did this. And you're like, ah! Like you didn't anticipate this performance coming at you, and in your head you're like, uh-oh, don't let it throw you off. Yeah, this is like there's another thing to stress out about. So that's what's so great about this, is that people are invested and they do just enough.
Yep.
Not too much and not too little. There's a sweet spot there to help enhance the person's on camera's performance.
I do have one when we get to the tape section.
Oh God, there's more.
Where I have to apologize, having been watching all the tapes, and like I went through all of our auditions.
Steal my scene.
And well, no, it wasn't that I was trying to steal the scene. It's that I did a ridiculously bad accent, like horrible accent.
No.
Leah was like, "What the hell are you doing? That sounds amazing. You sound like shit."
She's so honest.
She is.
Love that about her.
But well, I think that's a great transition into let's watch some tapes. So, what's going to be interesting here is these go back to 2013. I think was the first tape that I found with you and I.
Really?
Yeah, like
That's
really
a decade we've been
over a
working
decade.
together.
Yeah. What's
Wow.
funny is, do you remember like you actually? I tell you this every now and then, but like. When I'm the original Self-Tape studio, but I started it and I didn't really know what the hell I was doing. I was 27 years old, and I remember there was like 2 or 3 other little pop-ups that came up after I opened up the studio, and one of them was Stacy at Breaking Legs, and then Stacy got pregnant and she didn't.
No, she didn't get pregnant. She married this guy, and he's like, "You don't need to work anymore," and she closed it down.
Yeah,
and she was
okay, that's
so
what it
good at
was.
it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh." And then I had that idea.
And then you came to me, and then Bax set up a dinner, and we all went out to dinner, and then Stacy sent out an email, and literally my business doubled overnight.
She literally just picked up her Breaking Legs business and went, "There you go."
Here you go.
I was like, "Yes, that's
it was
what I wanted."
awesome. It literally like propelled the
Kickstarted it.
studio, like,
Yeah.
and I'm so thankful and grateful for that. And
My
I
pleasure.
can't appreciate like how much like that meant to me at the time. It really.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I was like, I was looking back because I have everything that we've ever done, and I found like you with the Google Glass. Remember the Google Glasses?
Oh yeah.
And like you did like a social media post for me, like, and it wasn't even for me. It was just you tagged me in it. And this was like when social media was just really kind of like starting up, and I got like 1,000 followers overnight, which was like, what the fuck? it was all from you wearing, and my phone doesn't blow up like that. I'm not cool. I'm not popular, you know. Like, I was like, oh my god, follower. I was like, Bex, you've helped me so much, and I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, want to say thank you for all that you've done for me. And
That's my pleasure.
yeah, thank you so much. And on a personal level, Bex, when Leah and I were pregnant, gave us like 10 grand worth of like baby gear, which was just amazing. And then we've regifted it and paid it forward, and like, but it's you're an incredible person and such a beautiful heart, and I genuinely like love you, honey. Aww.
I love you too. Good people. I love good people. That's you got to find good people and then hold on to them forever. And then when people like are not kind or say something negative, you're like, you can leave because I've got really good people. Like, we're fine, thank you. You can exit stage left.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, let's get down to it. Are you ready?
No, let's do it.
You're gonna know this first one. I didn't put any of the labels on any of them. I don't want to say what the shows were or like what the roles were, but
Okay.
these are gonna be fun.
Oh God.
The first one's really funny.
You son of a bitch!
Whoa, what is wrong with you? Ow!
I saw you on the dance floor. That stupid lasso move, you did that to me at my sister's wedding.
Okay, Christine, I can explain.
How are you even here?
Look, I just found out I had a daughter. I wanted to know who, and I'm sorry. I lied to you all those years ago. It makes me sick. You probably tried to find me, but
I never tried to find you. You crashed a wedding with a bullshit Russian accent. It's not exactly the kind of guy you want to raise a kid with.
fair enough.
I mean, I wanted a kid, but I just chalked it up to a happy accident.
Okay, look. I only found out about Natalie last week. And as soon as I did, I dropped everything to come down here. I can't make up for not being there all those years, but I want to try.
Are you insane? This is her wedding. Okay, here's what you're going to do. You're going to get in that cab, you're going to go back to the hotel, pack, and go home. We don't know you. So whatever you're going through is just called consequences. Live with it. Before the funeral, you didn't even know you had a daughter or a kid. And you still don't.
But I do.
No, you don't.
Alberto, hey, come on inside and dance with us. Why don't you teach me all those moves? Okay, I'll be on the dance floor in a minute. Just finishing up a conversation with your mother. Mom, he's the best. Hey, wait, are you single? Because my mom is... Nah, I don't know. I think you two might, Anyway, you better be on that dance floor in less than 5 minutes or I'm calling off the wedding. Okay, look, I just want to make this right. I will go out there right now, tell her the truth about everything.
Hell, you will. You don't know how she's going to react. She may have a meltdown at her wedding. So you're just going to go now, okay? And I'll just tell her that you had too much to drink and you had to leave.
Okay, well, what if I told you I was really hoping to walk her down the aisle? Does that change anything? Ow! Oh, fuck.
I am a second-degree black belt.
Yeah, I can tell.
All right.
Oh my
When did you
god.
start wearing such things like that?
Oh, here's the horrible accent.
Making him like
You make them to sell in Dublin. Making them in Australia. Dresses and such things.
little change.
When I married you, you were a modest, sweet country lass.
A leprechaun that's very, very stoned.
The same woman you married.
I was going for Tom Cruise and Far and Away.
I thought you were doing my left
St.
foot.
Patrick
I love fire.
God isn't enough for me in this life. Besides, the thought of him trudging up that
Oh,
path
come
of
on.
Up the hill. You won't be going by the fairy ring?
Oh, business and a schedule. You think I have time to frolic with the fairies?
Oh, you might. But if you lived as I, you'd follow my road.
And if you had as many customers as I, you'd
Ah,
understand mine.
God. Am I okay?
And what about the
I did
men?
not get this
Stevie
far.
the Little
Cousin
Neither of
Jack
us did.
Dawn.
Neither one of us got this part. But you look fantastic.
It's the blowout. I can't blow out my own hair. Oh,
I'll be
shit.
home soon, Mike.
Ah, Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
Yeah.
And I'll be
Fucking
waiting.
leprechaun, Rebecca Mader.
You know what's
I'm
crazy?
also thinking, what happened to that dress? Where'd that go? I like that dress.
The first scene, you were 8.5 months pregnant.
Oh my god, I was the size of a house.
When we saw the slate.
I look. Oh really?
Yeah, it was in the slate. It's slating 101. Remember, you're about
I
to
look like
victim.
I'm eating another pregnant woman. That's how massive I
It
was.
was, but like I
Straight
remember.
on, I was all right, and then you turn, you're like, damn, girl.
But what was incredible is like it was such a good performance, and but like the hormones and like the craziness to
definitely
be
helped.
around. Yeah.
Oh, it's fun to be a woman.
All right, let's see what this one is.
Oh god, a stick? Why do I have a stick in my hand?
This was it.
Did somebody forget how to greet their aunt?
Am I disabled?
That's for making me come all this way. Now then, where is he? Rock-a-bye, baby, on the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. And
Lovely
down will
voice.
come baby, cradle and all.
He likes Itsy Bitsy Spider. Dorothy sings it so nicely for him, puts him straight to sleep.
Well, Dorothy must be the best mama in the world.
She loves him. She didn't deserve what happened.
God had a plan for that woman. He wanted her to suffer. You thought you knew better.
You know what's interesting? The reason I chose that was the use of props.
Yeah,
Like-
I was going to talk to you about
Yeah.
that. Because one of the amazing things about Jason is he has props. So many people just don't have props. And sometimes having nothing is so weird. And when you go to an audition back in the day, pre-COVID, you're not going to walk in with a broomstick and a doll and
Sure.
a partridge in a pear tree. You'll look like an idiot and you'll look way too desperate.
Yeah.
And that's a vibe that just isn't sexy, really, is it? Like, oh, she wants this too much, don't want her. But what's cool about self-tapes is you want to use a prop? Okay. It's
Yeah.
not impacting anybody. You're not having to stick it in the back of your car. And I'll never forget the first time, there was something in the scene and you're like, wait, I can't remember what it was. And it was a gun. You're brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, how American. Oh, let me just pull that out of my handbag.
I have
You're
so
like, wait,
many.
you like opened a cupboard and there was this plethora of toys. I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, this is brilliant. And he had makeup and powder and guns and dolls and things.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is so much more fun to actually, and then you're making it more
It's
real.
make-believe. People put too much pressure on acting. Like, acting is just playing make-believe as an adult.
You know when I found that out? I found that from a private acting coach in New York in 2000. This is pre-9/11. I went to his apartment to coach privately for one of my very, very first auditions. He's like, well, let's just read it and see where we're at. So we read it, and I look up, and he's just horrified by my performance. They're sort of looking at me like, what was that? And I was like, oh no, I'm not an actor. What am I doing? I was modeling at the time. I'm like, I'll just go. I'll get my coat. Clearly, I stunk. And he went, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, what? And he went, you look miserable. And the scene wasn't miserable. And he's like, Rebecca, please, dear God, for the love of God, remember, you're playing a role. And I went, what? And he went, playing a role?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be playing. And I went, oh. I thought this was all just supposed to be a bundle of nerves and stress and anxiety. I didn't realize I was supposed to be having a good time.
Exactly.
And it really, something really shifted for me that day. I'm like, lighten up, woman.
Yep.
Just have a good time and play with it.
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean it. It's literally make-believe.
Yeah.
Like, go back to being a 3-year-old and, you know, save the cat out of the tree.
Get the doll out the cupboard.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
Super, super fun.
Yep.
That's at least how it should be.
Yeah.
I see a lot of, like, you know, green transplant actors, and everybody's on their journey, and everybody's kind of got to have that moment of, like, oh, this doesn't need to be stressful. It doesn't, and that's not to say that even, like, established, like, here's 10 pages, we need this tomorrow by 8 a.m. It's like, and you have to be off book. Like, go fuck yourself. But, like, but like, seeing, like, actors, it's part of, like, what I was saying earlier about the what I love about, you know, having the studio is that I get to watch actors go from that green, fresh transplant in LA who, like, you know, you know, they say, like, the most good-looking people from Bumblefuck USA move to LA, and then all of a sudden they're hit with the reality that everybody's good-looking out here, and everybody's, like, in shape and better shape than you, and, like, and then, but then, like, you go from being, like, your ass kissed your whole life, and then all of a sudden it's like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, you're a small fish in a big
In a
pond.
huge pond, and you're just like, but then you get that humbleness and you get that smack of reality, and you have to go through that moment as a young actor to then realize it's actually about the craft. It's about playing. It's about, like, co-collaborating. It's not about you.
You just reminded me of some of the best advice. That was a moment for me where I realized when he said you're playing a role, that shifted something. And then a couple of years later, also in New York, before I moved to LA, I got given another piece of advice that completely changed my acting. I had an audition for All My Children. As, you know, brand new actor. I'm like 20 in New York, and I have this audition last minute, 7 pages. I memorize it. I rush up to Columbus Circle. I go into ABC in New York, and I do the scene with the casting director who liked me, and she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "What?" And she went, "Were you listening to what I was saying?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, I wasn't. I was nervous. The subway was late. I had all these other things. Got to get there. I wasn't really listening to what she was saying. And as an actor, we get so worried and obsessed with knowing our lines. Got to be off book. Got to be off book. Got to know my lines. If I don't know my lines, and if I look down, they're going to think I'm shit. Never going to get the book. If I'm never going to get the part. If I'm looking down, I'm looking down. And she went, "Were you listening to me?" And I'm like, "No." And she went, "I could tell. I don't know what that was." She was like, "Here's the deal. Don't tell your agent. Are you available tomorrow at 11 to come back and do it again? But let's just not tell anyone."
Nice.
And I went, "All right." She went, "Just go away, look at it a bit more, and then when you come back, I don't care what any of the lines are that you say. All I care about is that you're listening to mine."
Nice.
And I went, "All right." So I came back the next day, and I just fucking listened to everything she said, and I got the part.
Yeah.
And they ended up offering me like a 4-year contract role, and I ended up saying no because I wanted to do prime time at the time, but I ended up doing it for 4 months. But it changed everything for me. And she also said to me, she's like, and my husband's an editor, and she's like, and when I'm with him in the office and when you're looking at a scene and what you're going to cut and what makes the cut and what doesn't, she's like, go back home and watch one of your favorite shows and look at the scene and look at the majority of the scene, what is actually of, and it's of
reaction.
The person listening and the person receiving the information, not the person saying the lines that I've learnt. It's the person receiving the information going, "Oof, fuck.
Yep.
Oh shit. That's where the magic is.
Yep.
So if you're an amazing fucking listener, you're going to get more screen time on camera and be bigger in the scene because you were fucking listening so good and so fucking hard. That's where the magic lies.
Yep.
And I think that really took the pressure off of me of being so obsessed about knowing my lines and the anxiety of it. I'm like, fuck it. If I'm really present for them, there's going to be some moments that are really interesting. And as an actor, when you work, and also so many people aren't good listeners just in general, but if you're an actor that has learned how to listen and then you work in a scene with another actor that also knows how to listen, that's one of the reasons why some of the scenes between the Evil Queen and the Wicked Witch was so much fun for me on Once Upon a Time, because she's equally as an amazing listener. Yeah. And so we would sit across from each other or be standing across from each other in a scene, and I would say she would deliver a line differently on the next take. And because I was so intently listening to her, of course, then my reaction would be different.
It's going to change, yeah.
And then that would change my next line. And because my next line had changed, then her response was then different. So every single take, the director's like, oh my God, you're giving me so much shit to use.
Yeah.
Not
it's
just
an editor's dream.
Yeah. But then sometimes I work with an actor, I very often work with actors that don't listen very well, and I've prepared my lines this way, and they're going to be this way every time. Yep. And I'm like, but then you're not listening to me because I just said it differently and I cried that time, and you still... so now your response looks like a weird choice because you're not impacted by my response.
Yep.
So it's a dance and it's a game, and there's a musicality to it. And when you work with someone that's a good listener, it's like, it's such a high. I'm like, ugh, this is why I do what I do.
I love that. That is like the best advice that you can hear right now. Like I tell actors, I was like, the script's going to change 20 times before you get to set. Yeah. You'd never have to be word perfect. It's it's literally acting is reacting. That's the old cliche, right?
Amen.
But all right, let's see what this one is.
Uh-oh.
I think this is a continuation of...
How long before they realize he's different? How long before they reject him?
They won't.
He needs protecting, like we protected you. Oh, come home, little flower, to family.
But Dorothy...
Look, she'll wake tomorrow morning and he'll be gone. No more dolls, no more pretending. She'll feel the loss, yes she will, but this is her journey.
Oh, I was just gonna wake him from his nap.
Pop acting again.
Praise the Lord for Dorothy Turner, living and breathing before my very eyes. Oh, we are such adoring fans.
Oh, how kind. Have we met? You're very familiar. This is my Aunt May, Dorothy. Oh, is your husband with you?
Don't mind Georgie Porgy. What he lacks in manners, he makes up for in heart. We are just both so grateful for all the love and kindness you've shown our little flower.
Oh, she's one of the family now, aren't you, Leanne? Yes, Miss Turner. We're pouring champagne. My father wants to make a toast. Please enjoy our hospitality.
I chose this for this. Boom.
You're his servant. Hers.
Oh, I just got good.
So good, right? Like the turn.
My nipples just went funny. I just scared myself. I was like, isn't she sweet? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
This is one of our...
oh, God.
We'll
I'm scared.
So you came in.
Uh-oh.
This was an 11-page scene.
Oh, God.
And this was the first time that you used the teleprompter.
This is the first time I cheated you guys.
But watch, like, you don't know. If I hadn't said that, you would not know, because it's just a monologue.
All right.
Cut the bullshit. You look like roadkill. Thirsty? We found Sergeant Ivashenko. Hopper's body cam shows you were working with the orphan. Where is she? Have you forgotten how chain of command works, Captain? Shadow Corps is deploying adaptive camouflage unlike anything we've ever seen, and now is the time to eliminate the enemy, not work with them. I've burned precious daylight chasing you around Hell's Taint. If you can't follow orders, then you can contemplate how to be a better soldier in the stockade. I know you think this is a mistake, but the real mistake was Hopper dying instead of you. She would have understood. Lockdown until further notice.
That's so good. I love that tape.
I'm reading from a fucking screen. All right. I'm like angry that I'm like cheating, but fuck it. I've got to do what I've got to do.
It totally worked. You know what's interesting about that take is, and this is something that I try to like express to a lot of actors is, you know, some actors when they come in, they'll just read every character or like every line directly to the same spot.
You've got to throw it away.
They never look to other characters on the scene or like place somebody here. Like you said, lock him in the stockade, like, and you turn to the guy. So especially when
it's easy to get locked into just looking in. You're like you've chosen your eye line. But then you're speaking to 2 or 3 people, and you're just always keeping it because then the audience is like, "Wait, what?
It doesn't make sense.
Who are they talking to?" And then you're not looking at the performance. You're thinking, "What the fuck is going on?"
Yeah, I always say that a self-tape is not an audition. A self-tape is a screen test.
Right.
They're 2 very different an audition's in the room in front of the casting director
people
where
are winging it.
They're supposed to give
people
you
are
their
talking,
information. Yeah. But like with a self-tape, your job is to show me everything that's outside of the frame. That's what's gonna book the role. Like like being able to like not just. You know, you got somebody here, you got somebody here, you got somebody here, and then you got somebody behind you. Don't be afraid to turn away from camera. You know, like that's...
I have a friend who has helped me in the past when I couldn't get up to LA, and she does this thing where she'll be reading her lines, the sides behind camera, and then when, you know, Julie speaks, she goes, da-la-la-la, and then she goes, and then Steve's over it, and she just does her hand, and she's never wrong.
Yeah.
She's like really good at it. So I'm like, what? Shut the fuck... What? And I'm like, oh, that helps too.
It makes a huge
or you can
difference.
even do, like, sometimes I've done just like little pieces of tape.
Yep.
You know, just to make sure that in different colours, so I'm throwing my eye lines to the correct character.
Yep.
Because once I had one that was like a dinner party scene with like 10 people.
Yeah.
And I had to have all these different eye lines and separate conversations with all these different people. So setting your eye lines is really important.
Yeah. As a reader, those are like the hardest scenes too, because like I never know what somebody's gonna bring in.
No.
I never want like people are like, oh, you want me to send the sides beforehand? I do 15 to 25 tapes a day. I can't read your sides before you walk through the
let me
fucking door.
prepare my work for you.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna cold read it, and you're gonna get a shit Irish accent. but like, yeah, like that's that's it. Like that exactly, like over here, like, and then walk off camera.
Yeah.
Like that's in the last tape we have here. You're gonna see like I'm like, you go to sit back down, and I'm like,
oh yeah. Yeah, you're supposed to leave. I'm like, oh shit, I'm leaving.
yeah, and you can see that moment, like.
Are you folks ready to order, or do you need another minute?
We're not ordering.
Oh, well, you sort of have to.
Buzz away, little bee.
I love it.
Okay,
Boobs are massive.
now, where were we? Oh, right. You were telling me what a massive disappointment you both are.
Oh, screw you, lady. My sister's been over every inch of that dump 100 times. If there was something to be found, she'd find it. Now pay up.
I'm sorry?
You said 200. We had a deal.
Yeah, that you would find me hard proof of criminal endangerment. Something actionable. All you've done is tell me that my niece is a good kid and that my nephew sleeps all the time.
Yeah, well, he really does, though.
Sleeping is not a crime, dude.
Is that not okay? I just realized I probably shouldn't be hearing any of this. In fact, I probably shouldn't be here at all.
Shut up, Doug.
Fuck Doug.
Okay.
She's a bitch.
You know what? I guess we're all done here. Unless either of you two have any bright ideas, which is, let's face it, highly unlikely.
Well, Mike was saying how he really needs this job, you know, so he can look good on paper, like, for a judge.
My nephew, the altruist. Okay, you know what? That's all incredibly fascinating, but I'm not hearing a plan.
We tossed the plan.
Okay, go on.
He's a security guard, right? His job is to make sure no one gets in, so we get in. Mess the place up good, help ourselves to whatever we find along the way. Your nephew gets canned, judge gives you the kid, and you give us $2,000.
200.
200 was for going through his underwear drawer. We're talking about breaking and entering. Grand larceny, destruction of private property, that's 5 years minimum. Probably more like 10.
$1,000. And do it soon. And don't fuck it up.
Go. Go. Leave. Leave. And I'm out. Oh shit.
Tiger in a tropic storm. Henry Rousseau.
This was a good one.
Aren't you growing up to be a sophisticated young man? Hey, McDonald's is in the
No.
fridge and we should be back about midnight, okay?
What about the movie?
Well, Tracy wanted to check out the dance at Law Dogs. I'm sorry, honey. Tomorrow night.
Spider-Man's on tonight.
So tape it. You know how to do that.
Babe!
I better get going.
Mom, just tell him you can't go.
I love you, Eric. You're everything to me. You know that, but I mean, me going tonight, it's you know it's for the best, right? For both of us.
Rachel, let's go!
What's that?
Tiger in a Tropic Storm? Henry Rousseau?
Well, aren't you growing up to be a sophisticated young man? Hey, McDonald's is in the fridge and we should be back about midnight, okay?
It's the same thing.
Well, hey,
So this is one of those ones where we said two different versions.
Well, Tracy
Oh.
wanted to make the dance at Law Dogs. I'm sorry, honey. Tomorrow night?
But Spider-Man's on tonight.
So then tape it. You know how to do that.
Babe!
I better get going.
Mom, tell him you can't go.
I love you, Eric. Okay, you're everything to me, you know that, but me going tonight is for the best. For both of us.
Rachel, let's go!
So what was really interesting about that contrast, that's why I picked that last one for the end there, was, and that's it, that's all the self-tape. I won't torch you
my God.
anymore.
Thank you.
What do I have here? Oh. All right, we'll give you a better one. Wait, where is it? There it is. That's what I was
Thank
looking
you,
for. That's
everybody.
what I was looking
This is the
for.
best one for my ego.
We
Oh my God, I love that. I need that in my house.
right.
Set it to Alexa when I walk
And
into
just,
a room.
woo.
No one looks up when I walk into a room in my house. Like, at least there could be a round of applause when I enter the kitchen.
It should be your new doorbell, right? Like, what was interesting there was one take, and a lot of actors are afraid to do this. They're afraid to send two versions.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I don't want to piss off
Yeah.
the casting director.
Right.
You know, like be an artist. That's one of the pieces of advice that I give a lot of actors. Not you. You are an artist, but like younger actors and artists. It's like don't give up your authority to somebody else because you want a job. Like like you said, it reeks of desperation. And what was interesting about that was one take was warm, and then the other take was cold, where you were like, I got to do this, like I'm going out on this date. The other one was like, I'm sorry, honey, I have to really like I got to. This is what's best for us, even though that's obviously like an abusive
I like the
relationship.
second tape better.
I like the second take better too. Yeah.
It's kind of more the character, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
yeah.
I think sometimes it's a good idea in a way to send to because you're showing you're not just a one-note,
Yep.
one-trick pony. Like, I guess what? I can do this different ways because the thing that's missing now with not having these in-person auditions is that you're not getting notes in the room.
Yeah.
Like I've had auditions in the past where I did it and it was all right. And then the director or the writer in the room said, actually, your character, your mum murdered your sister when you were 7, so your approach would... And it shifts it so dramatically.
Yeah.
They can give you one note or one piece of information because maybe there wasn't a script available, and then you do it again and it's totally different. And then everyone's like, that's it, or that's where it is. And there's so much fun in that. And because that's not really there anymore, you should feel like you're in a position of power to send 1 or 2 or maybe 3, but 2 different reads because it shows, she's willing to play.
Yeah.
Or they're willing to try it a different way and they're not just going to, it's not just going to be a one note thing.
Yeah, but just don't do it if you're just gonna I want to do one take where I'm wearing a hat.
No.
Yeah, like I get a lot of actors who come in and like they give the
With or
exact same
without.
performance, but the one's wearing a hat. I'm like, no, you can't send that.
Or like hair up or down, or
Yeah.
glasses or no glasses.
Yeah, it's like
If you
no.
want to show a hat or something different, just do it in the next scene. If
Yeah.
there's more than one scene.
Have it on and take it off.
Right,
So you get the beat
mid-scene.
of it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can always pause it and see what you look like with a hat on.
That is good advice.
All right, well, we are reaching the 1 hour mark, which is crazy. I didn't expect this to go. So I have one last question. I think this is going to become a staple of the show.
Yes. Okay.
Here we go. They say timing is everything. can you deliver your Oscar acceptance speech in 10 seconds flat?
I'd like to thank me, God, and all the people that helped me along the way, and all the people that didn't believe me. Success is the best revenge! And if you want to do this, don't fucking give up. God save the king, and God bless America. Boom.
I love it.
Booyah,
Love it.
Capture.
Love it. Here.
That's the other one you need is the club horn. Like, hey.
Oh, that should have been for the evil part. What do we got?
I do believe
else
in
do I-
magic, Daddy. I do. The birds, the birds.
Wah, wah. Laugh track?
Oh, laughing at
We
me
got a
that I
laugh?
didn't get the part.
All right. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much for being here. You are amazing.
pleasure.
I love you.
I love
you. And we have a special little present for you. We are going to take you in the back here. And
Mommy, Carol Ann, step away from the light.
we are going to do the first digi shot.
Oh, shit.
So a digi shot, for those of you who don't know, is a next generation full body 3D headshot. So stay tuned because it's going to be revolutionary. Ooh. All right, this has been Self-Tape Rewind, episode number 1.
Woohoo!
And hopefully the internet is kind.
Yay! And if you have a self-tape, come here because then you'll probably get the part.
Thank
Jason
you.
is the best in the business. Love
Thank you so much. All right, that's it. That's a wrap. Cut it. After you, dear. How crazy is this thing, right?
This is crazy.
All right, so go step in the middle there.
Okay. Good luck, everyone.
And
Okay.
there you
And then I
be.
need to freeze, right?
Yep, just freeze. Kind of keep your hand, spread your fingers about just a little bit. And here we go. 3, 2, 1.
I play this with my son and he goes, Mummy, freeze! And I'm like in the kitchen, holding a foot, doing something. And I go like this. And I fucking commit. And then my son goes, hey, come see Mummy. I've frozen her. Oh shit. And he goes, look, touch it. Don't even move. And then he goes, unfreeze. I go, oh my god. Oh, did you just freeze me? And he's like, yeah, I did.
Give me a banana.
He thinks it's not special bad. I think you freeze me. I'm so convinced.
That was amazing. You didn't even like flinch when I was like, you're so good at freezing.
Not gonna break.
That was awesome. All right, so let's
Wicked.
process this. Yeah, you can cut.
This is so fun.